All right. Hello, everyone. Once again, Nicola here from the Bonitasoft North America marketing team. Welcome to another edition of Bonita webinars. It's through these webinars where we try to give you some more insight into facilitating the adoption of the Bonita platform and how to identify and apply innovative approaches. The versatility of Bonita usage is very widespread, as you may know. And you can find us on the cloud in adaptive case management in collaboration with RPA or robotic process automation and other technologies. If you missed any of these webinars, they're all posted on our website, on our YouTube, and our Vimeo channel. So to put Bonitasoft or Bonita, our flagship product, in some perspective, well, we can help you create seamless applications on top of processes that you already have or will have in the near future. As a digital transformation platform, we are BPM based and use BPMN to build what we call the living application, a highly extensible and highly customizable platform. We are low code, different than no code, which is pretty popular today, so not geared to citizen developers. Today's webinar is titled Digital Automation, the Future of Financial Services, and will display how our solution can help companies in any money transaction-based industries. Your hosts today are Michael Dukan, Bonitasoft Sales Director for North America and APAC, together with Michael Arvidsson, Principal, and Ross Sigmund, Principal, both from our premier partner, Cenotech Solutions. We invite you to actively take part by submitting any questions that you might have in the chat or questions window located at the bottom, to the bottom right of your GoToWebinar dashboard, and our webinar hosts will try to answer as many questions as possible. So without further ado, I'd like to hand it over. I believe Michael will be starting, so please enjoy the webinar, and once again, post any questions that you will have in the chat or questions box. Thanks.
Thank you, Nicola. Hi, everyone. So my name is Michael Ducon. I'm the Sales Director for Bonitasoft in North America, and I'm here today to talk to you about the challenges and the use cases and value we can provide in the financial services with our partner Cenotech. So the way that we're going to do the presentation is not going to be technical. It's really business oriented to show you a little bit the experience that we've gathered from looking at the market today, working with our customers, and wanting to, of course, show you and give you some insights and ideas on how you could address your own challenges in financial services. So just for the purpose of the presentation, sometimes I'll talk about FinServe or financial services. Of course, it covers everything related to banking, asset management, insurance, everything related to financial transactions. So looking at the market today, and a couple analysis, and one of them was done by KPMG last year, was trying to really put in light the biggest challenges that we see today for financial services organizations, especially in 2018. So the topics are everything related to digitalization, digital transformation, moving the paper to digital, improving, of course, the outcome is improving your own service. So where does that come from? It comes from customer experience, improving collaboration between employees, improving exchange of information and services with end users and customers directly. So in digital transformation, we also talk about growth. How can a company, especially in the banking industry, can become more competitive today? How can a company going from offices and more traditional way of working can become more agile and digital today? So that comes from innovation, and innovation can go from new initiatives, new products on the market, as well as technology innovation that we can enable with a platform such as Bonitasoft. Moreover as well, everything related to compliance is mandatory in the industry, especially when we hear about GDPR that is not effective for a few months now. Risk management, compliance risk management, these are also trends and topics that are very important for organizations. And the last one, which is key to ensure all those challenges, and the objective of the companies is to ensure a good integration of the entire processes and the functions of an entire organization. So I'm going now to show you a little bit a list of use cases that we can address with our platform at Bonitasoft. So it's well detailed, I made that on purpose just to give you some insights and ideas. Some might ring a bell to you, but everything in the topic of banking and asset management, from creating an account, giving approval to loans and mortgages, ensuring that the services work on mobile devices. Everything related also to, in the insurance industry, claims filling, claims management is a specific process per se that can be integrated and automated as well. And then if you look at other trends in corporate finance and consumer credits, cash flows, approval cycles, consumer credits, we do work with a large number of banks who have been able to reduce the credit loans applications and requests from their customers. So that is a huge business outcome and benefit for them. And the overall benefit, of course, like I said again, and I really want to put an emphasis on this, is how can we improve the customer experience through a certain number of features and functionalities such as friendly portals, real-time visibility and reporting on the task and steps, protection against security, against cybersecurity, you name it, there are a lot of them. So again, just the benefits that you see from the challenges that I introduced in the beginning is to improve the customer service, to be able to build specific applications that maybe your own industry or your own company will have to proceed that are maybe not out of the box, and you need to customize it as much as possible, ensure governance, compliance, and ensure a good integration with all the systems and the people that you need to interact with in a given application. So the trends that we can address with Bonitasoft, like Nicolas introduced in the beginning, originally were business process management, BPM technology. So this is really familiar to moving the paper to digital, ensuring that we know who does what at what stage in a given process. But this is part usually of a larger digital transformation initiative to ensure operational excellence and of course to reduce cost and bring a larger ROI in your company. So the second that I named is BPM. For if you're not familiar with BPM, it composes of different tools and assets that can help you design processes, connect the processes with different applications, execute, monitor, optimize a given process, and behind or on top of this process usually is a specific business application. And the third one that is due to our positioning in our DNA being an open source company where we put emphasis on transparency, meritocracy, is the low-code application development. So we are giving the tools to build entirely an application based on processes, and that is a great alternative either to custom developments, where sometimes development can be rigid. You would lack of resources of developers or people would build an application. If they leave the company, then you're stuck, and it's really hard to maintain the application. And it's also a great alternative to out-of-the-box applications where sometimes some functionalities and features are not available for you in the app. And we use our terminology, what we call a living application. What is a living application? It's typically an application that can evolve with time, that you can easily maintain as often as your processes evolve with the service and the benefits that you want. So here is just a quick testimony of one of our customers. I'll also present you the use case on this one. It's an insurance company called Artis in France, and they use Bonitasoft to improve their customer experience due to digital transformation initiatives. They have probably around 15 or 20 processes that they have implemented with us, and what they really enjoyed with our platform is being able to ensure their project more efficiently, improve collaboration between people, and moreover, of course, the outcome is providing a better service to their customers. Another company that you might be familiar with, which is a large bank in France and other countries in the world, is Crédit Agricole. And just to give you some insights as well in terms of ROI, with the help of at Bonitasoft, they've been able to save 1 or 2 FTEs, so it doesn't mean that they replace the people, but of course the time that was spent on doing repetitive tasks can be beneficial, and for those people also investing in other developments and other value for them. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom into 2 use cases before our partner Cenotech also will share with you their experience as being a Bonitasoft partner, and more specifically in the FinServe industry. The first one I want to talk to you about is BBVA, which is a large banks, and this one was in Colombia. that needed to manage directly their loan process. So their challenge was to make sure that they could manage in the most efficient way the entire personal and professional loans for the Colombian market. So for BBVA, that represented over 460 offices, on which each office had its own process, even though they were following company and corporate guidelines. They had each of them different specificities that it was very hard for them to exchange information from one office to another and moreover to the headquarters. So the time to process and to manage the non-standard from office to office was complicated, and the teams also needed to improve the collaboration to be able to coordinate everything now from one central loan application and processing center. So their objective with the initiative and with the help of Bonitasoft was to reduce their time to market for new applications around the loan management, to simplify and reduce also the activity, bringing more and more automation in their company, reducing also loan risk with the specific KPI that they have for them was 30%, reducing also the cost of maintaining and processing those operations around loan management by 30%, and overall bringing more visibility and traceability for compliance in their organization. And the benefits were that they met. So they met those objectives after a couple of years, 1 or 2 years using, of course, all those processes in production. They literally been able to reduce the time to market, simplify all the goals and processes that they've had. And just to give you a number, Bonitasoft now is used by BBVA for almost 8,000 users in the 460 offices, and they have been able to improve significantly their visibility, also reducing time of execution and increasing their revenues. Okay, so just to give you an idea of a credit request, so they were able today to answer the customer's credit request in less than 2 days. Prior to that, it was more random and approximate from one office to another. It was moreover from 1 to 2 weeks. So you see here a significant operational efficiency benefit. A second company that I want to focus in is an insurance company called Apsis that I mentioned earlier, and their digital transformation initiatives. So their challenge on their side was to improve the integration of the process of a given number of processes with all their systems and all their multi-channel services. As you can imagine, being in insurance, you have to manage a large number of claims that could be either from phone, from email, from post, social networks, and so on. And they are critical processes to them because they're core to their activity, and in their mindset, a process is not just a way of working and improving collaboration between people. It's really a service and an end service that the direct customers can benefit from. And working also with the brokers, third parties, partners, was making it complicated for them to integrate their tasks and processes in their organization. So that's also something that they wanted to automate with Bonitasoft. And so the benefit that they've had with Bonitasoft as well was more of the automation, was meeting their deadlines around claims management, meaning managing as well in the best ways possible the resources, meeting the compliance with regulations, improving their security around the process, building service-oriented applications that were user-friendly and much more easier for the developers to maintain as well as for the users to fill in. And it really is part of a digital transformation initiative in the organization, also improving a great number of processes today. And as a transition, I'm going to explain as well why at Bonitasoft we value working with the Bonitasoft partners, and more specifically today with Cenotech, who's a premier partner, is that we position ourselves as a technology vendor, as an open source technology where we want our own customers and partners to become independent in developments and implementation of their projects. So we do have a professional services team, but we mostly focus on training and ensuring that you have the right milestones and successful metrics at the beginning that your project is successful, but the developments itself, we rely on their partners who from experience, and more specifically today on financial services with Cenotech, have proven methodologies, have great experience in that vertical, and really can advise you in the best way to build an application or to improve your existing processes. All our partners, of course, are certified, do have Bonitasoft stamped certification. They also have local teams that maybe can be closer to you, depending where you're located, and also have great experience not only in BPM technology, but for instance today with Cenotech as well in RPA and other technologies. So I think at this stage I'm going to hand it over to Mike and Ross from Cenotech.
Thank you, Michael. This is Mike Lauritzen, and I'm here today with Ross Sigmund. And we're principals at Cenotech Solutions, and we're based up in Boston, Massachusetts, and have been working with financial service firms since the early 1990s. Our focus over the last 25 years has been helping our clients in the front, middle, and back offices, where we've built or installed vendor products across accounting, performance measurement, data management, reporting, and compliance systems amongst some of the big systems that we've handled. In addition, quite a bit of the focus during this time was helping our clients' operations teams build the workflows and processes to stitch these systems together. And most recently, over the last several years, we've been working with Bonitasoft to build out our BPM practice. We approach BPM both as an enabling technology with the Bonitasoft application, as well as a management discipline. We look at BPM much like some people would look at program management, project management, or agile development. We'll engage our clients with a set of tools and best practices to support the adoption of BPM and Bonitasoft. In addition, as Mike mentioned, we can provide full support for you during your digital transformation journey. On the slide here, you'll just see a couple of columns in areas that we primarily practice. Over the last 25 years, integration solutions has been really where we've worked most closely with our clients. And as I mentioned, in the last few years, business process management and intelligent automation has been becoming a bigger piece of our business, and most importantly is where our clients have driven us. So Mike, could you just flip that slide forward one for me, please? So this next slide is what we call symptoms of a broken process, and it's probably the reason why you're joining us today is because you could probably resonate with some of the comments on here. Many of these points are taken directly from our clients or prospects, and to highlight a few, the process is unorganized. The process might span several departments, and there's finger pointing and blaming. Well, what we see is when we go in and we start doing what we call discovery sessions, we actually will meet with the stakeholders, but by the time we're done, we'll actually uncover 1.5 to 2 times the number of actual stakeholders in a given process. That's sort of the type of, when you get into the discovery phase of understanding your processes, that's what we help facilitate and really highlight for you that and help you organize those processes. Some of the other things that we hear or see are complexity, exceptions, and special cases are common. Really, Bonitasoft is really geared to facilitating straight through business processes in your initial implementations, which then allows your resources to work on the complexities of your business. And then as you iterate through, you can then start automating those processes to take on more and more complex cases. And that's how we like to approach most of the projects that we work on. One of the other big comments that we see across complex processes is no one manages the total process. And where that became very evident to us was recently on a very complex use case that we're going to go into in a minute. But the person who actually did understand the total holistic end-to-end process was actually retiring. And that was why we were asked to come in and help them document and automate that use case. So let's go on to the next slide. As Michael mentioned earlier, there's lots of use cases for BPM and Bonitasoft, and more specifically in financial services, and where we sit in many times in the middle and back office, and sometimes stretching up into the front office. These are the type of use cases that we see as being pretty effective or being a great case for BPM and Bonitasoft. Account onboarding, which we're going to talk about, reference data setup and control, issue tracking and resolution, SLA management. Pause for a second on SLA management. That's where we're seeing a lot of traction. A lot of firms are outsourcing middle and back office functions. A lot of firms do so but don't have a good plan as to how they're going to manage and measure SLAs with their outsourced providers and partners. So using Bonitasoft business processes and workflows, one can really be able to capture the interactions with your service providers and be able to facilitate and visualize whether or not they're meeting their SLAs. You know, it was mentioned before, client reporting, regulatory reporting, those are all great use cases that we can help with. So really, the use case that we're going to take a look at today was account onboarding. And we have a large asset manager client in Boston that has a separately managed account business that was growing leaps and bounds and was stitched together with a lot of manual processes, a lot of emails, a lot of spreadsheets, and as I mentioned, the person who holistically knew the entire process was actually retiring. So we came in and went through a period of discovery workshops with the client. We sat down with stakeholders. We used the toolkit that we will come in with to do these discovery workshops and really take a look at what the process looks like today, what are the tools being used, and then make a plan for how to implement an automated process where we can, or a better process, and help facilitate that. That's what we did. After we were done with our first iteration, which took about 6 months, and I'll go into that time frame in a minute, but we were able to automate the process, which takes in about 75 new accounts a day. It interacts in the first iteration with 6 key systems in the environment. There's probably about 12 systems overall that the process interacts with. We automated the first 6. And we got a 25% reduction in time for that new account coming in until the time that it was ready to have its the monies invested by the front office, the portfolio management team. What was really key out of that first iteration, which was really critical, was as great as the reduction in the total time to get that account live, what was even more important was we provided the visualization, because we had the metadata associated with all the steps along the way in the process. We could provide the visualization to the operations teams and the management where any given account was in the process. So no longer did the front office need to be calling the back office and saying, where's my account, when's it going to be ready? They can actually see via a dashboard when it's going to be ready. Incredibly powerful capability, and really led to quite a bit of increased satisfaction internally with all the teams involved. I guess, you know, I would end that with the quote that's down here on the bottom right. And, you know, what this led to was our associates now free to focus on ever more complicated scenarios to continue to improve customer satisfaction. And that's really the key. When you go on some of these digital journeys, it's not always necessarily about reducing time and reducing headcount. It's usually not about reducing headcount, but it's about being able to give the opportunity for these associates to shift towards dealing with the more complex solutions, reducing risk, and providing higher levels of satisfaction, and scaling the internal processes without adding staff, and again, reducing risk. So the process continues, the iterations continue, we continue to work with the client to build out more business processes around that, and to improve that process moving forward. So Mike, I'd hand it back to you at this point.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. So yeah, last section of this presentation is quickly. So we've, of course, presented to you, to Cenotech and our experience, what were the challenges and outcomes today on giving processes on financial services. Now I'm just going to present, of course, what the technology of Bonitasoft is quickly to, of course, give you some insights. So this is just a screenshot of the different components. What is giving it in the end a Bonitasoft application. So we provide both graphical tools and extension points that is also being open source, and also good to mention that we are the only open source vendor today in the Gartner IB Business Process Management Quadrant. So the positioning that we are in, like I mentioned, we're a low code. So low code is between what we call custom code and out-of-the-box applications. In the low code, we have iterative developments that are more efficient, more rapid, and agile in terms of developments as well. We focus on improving the developments between teams. So like Nicolas explained in the introduction, our positioning is to provide the tools for IT and developers to build their own applications. So if you're looking for business analysts to be able to design their workflows and design their application, this is not our positioning at Bonitasoft, because we really want the IT developer to be the most effective in building the app with their also skills. Talking about technology, Bonitasoft relies on Java, JavaScript for everything related to workflow, designing the process, and Angular, JS, and Bootstrap for the front end for building the forms and the applications interfaces, the UI. So being low code means that we provide graphical tooling as well as extension points for any skilled developer to build and develop on top of what is already provided by the Bonitasoft application. So this is the Bonitasoft Studio. That is the interface that helps you to design and visual designing the process with BPMN2 standard that we respect. This is also the moment where you define the different steps, the different systems, and integration with different people that is going to be the core of your application based on the processes. On top of that, we also have the front end that I was talking to you about. So this is a screenshot of a drag and drop interface based on Angular JS. We are HTML5 compliant, so everything that is for digital devices is web responsive. You do not have to build a specific mobile application. You can just use the same interface and use the digital device that you wanted the page to look into, and also having a great look and feel to building the most user-friendly applications directly for your organization and your customers. And the last slide to give you just a quick overview of who Bonitasoft is today. Like I mentioned, we're the largest open source BPM vendor today, meaning that we are open source. We do rely on important community members with our free software that you can download directly on bonitasoft.com, and we rely very importantly on this community to share their contributions and developments directly on the forum. We cover a large number of customers all over the world, both including community and enterprise solutions as well. And we have a large partner ecosystem, as we mentioned, including Cenotech in the US for financial services, who is a prime partner. Great recognitions on the analyst and the market as well. And I think we are reaching the end of the presentation for any questions you may have. So Nicolas, maybe you can help. I don't know. I'm just going to look as well if we do have any pending questions. Okay, so I do not any questions. So I'm just going to anticipate some questions that we may have from our customers today. Is typically, how long does it take to build a new application or to implement a new process? So this varies, of course, on the complexity of the process in the application you want to build. But like I mentioned, having an iterative approach, being low code, being agile, we give everything to ease and accelerate the deployments. So just to give you an example, we do have some customers who go in production after 1 or 2 months on the first processes. It is also a build and ramp up approach. As you can imagine, typically, very often our customers start with 1 or 2 processes that are maybe on higher priority or they're more visible in the organization, and the success and the outcome and the adoption of the entire organization or the members involved in this giving process is typically what starts after that in building a real digital transformation or BPM initiative throughout the organization. Maybe Mike or Ross, you can just share from experience also on your customer or joint customer, maybe to explain, how in terms of delay or how did you start and when did this customer go into production?
Sure, Michael. This is Mike. I'll take that. The first iteration that really added the value that I described below took us about 6 months, and a lot of that 6 months is sort of that initial build out of the environment, right? So that's something that I would say any prospect should make sure that they're considering the amount of time that it's going to take to get the purchase through procurement, get the applications installed in their environments, and then get up the basic plumbing, if you will, hooked up. So making sure access to the firm's Active Directory structures, the code deployment structures. Really, the time to set up the Bonitasoft servers is not long at all, and the professional service team at Bonitasoft can typically get the servers up and running for you within a few days. Where that initial delay may come in is what I described just a minute ago, and that's getting sort of the plumbing and the initial pipe set up. Getting the teams trained up. We certainly, with our client, they have some of their staff certified in development and we support them. That's the model they chose. So there's some time to get the developers up and running, and of course the initial first project, like any new technology to a firm, is going to take a little bit more time. But really, after you get that first project under your belt, enhancements to that or using and automating new business processes, that's where you're really going to see a great return on investment and real acceleration in the efforts.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. And to complete as well, in terms of deployment modes that we can provide with Bonitasoft, so we are on-premise, so we're subscription-based. So I'm talking about the enterprise and the subscription edition of Bonitasoft, and I'll also explain quickly the differences between community and subscription, but just in talking about deployment. So we're on-premise, so it can be in your own servers, but we also work more and more on deploying the application on the cloud. So what does that mean for Bonitasoft? So we do not offer a SaaS offering per se, but we do offer business continuous deployment, continuous integration capabilities to be able to, for instance, Dockerize, build an image, and deploy the application on AWS, with whom we have a partnership. So this is also a trend that we see more and more often, having our prospects and customers asking us if we're cloud ready. So we do also provide this capability. And to conclude as well, differences between community and subscription. The first criteria is also related to the criticity or the importance of your application or your project. So for a larger organization who rely on highly available 24/7 running applications will need direct support from a vendor. So this is the first criteria, is does your application need support from us or not? And the more critical and the more strategic you will want to implement and build application processes, the more functionalities relating to clustering, scalability, multi-tenancy are just a few of the features that are available directly on the enterprise while you do not have them on the community version. And I think if we do not have any questions, that we can conclude today's presentation, hoping that we have given you some insights on financial services, the topics and challenges that we can address. I want to thank again Mike and Ross from Cenotech, also from sharing their experience, also specifically in this industry. And Nicolas, I don't know if you have a final word to say before we finish this webinar.
Definitely. Thank you, both Michaels and Ross, for a great presentation. If you were to have any additional questions and would like to discuss in more detail about ongoing projects or future goals even, please feel free to reach out. I've included the link to our contact form. It's in the chat box, so you can get in contact with us. Also, there's a link to Cenotech Solutions website, so please feel free to visit those two sites. And if I don't see any more questions, so as Mike said, we probably conclude this session right now. Looking forward to speaking to you in the near future. Please attend some of our upcoming webinar series, and we'd like to thank everybody for attending, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. So thanks everybody, and stay tuned.